Hey, we're here with Marty Garza. Some of the last episodes you've seen us, we were talking about how he got started and kind of how things have transpired up to pretty much current days. But tell us a little bit, after you sold the truck to Dabney, you still stayed a little bit involved, and then how did you stay involved in the monster truck world?
Well, the trucks were always my passion anyway, so there's no way to completely get away from it. While I was still doing the Penda racing and all, I was approached to do some tech articles for Truck World Online, and I started writing these monster tech articles, and I guess they got fairly well known, and so that got me involved somewhat more with the MTRA, or the technology side of it, and George Eisenhart approached me about becoming yet more involved. He brought me in as a tech advisor for the MTRA, and I worked with George.
And the MTRA, for those of you that's never heard of it, it's the Monster Truck Racing Association. It was started back quite early in the monster truck world just to try to create some safety guidelines to help everybody kind of go in the same direction. So,
Right.
it was a good thing when they got all formed. Now tell us a little bit more. So George brought you in.
Yeah, so George brought me in as a technical
Well,
advisor.
what's funny is I brought George into the
MTRA.
So
Tell me
back in the day.
6 degrees.
So, yeah.
Well, George and I worked together a lot, and unfortunately, as a lot of you know, he was involved in an accident, and I still remember our last conversation, literally the day that we lost him, and I committed myself right then to do everything I could to carry on his behalf. So I became, got on the board of the MTRA, was their communications director for years, and have served there for at least 10 years now serving as vice president. I really firmly believe in our cause. I think that our entire industry is better for it. It's sort of the serious side of this, but I think that we do a lot of hard work behind the scenes that people don't necessarily always appreciate, but we're always there trying to make sure that everybody is safe and that the trucks are built properly.
Well, and really, it's amazing when you think about how long the monster trucks have been out, the crazy stuff that they do, and the amount of horsepower and wheel travel and wheel speed and all that. It's really amazing that there hasn't been more serious accidents. I mean, it's awesome, really, because of the safety aspect of it. Other forms of racing have, every weekend at a circle track, there's somebody dying from some sort of a mishap with a race car. And so it's really, I think it's been a great deal.
I attribute that. I don't think that's just by chance. I think that I attribute that to the foresight of people like Bob Chandler, who really try to get ahead of the situation rather than waiting for an incident to occur and then everyone scramble to try to come up with a solution. Very early on, the MTRA, the founders of the MTRA, George Carpenter, Steve Hess, Bill Weaver, all started trying to develop solutions to potential problems rather than problems that had already occurred.
Yeah.
And there's no way to actually calculate the number of lives that have been saved as a result of that. I'm very proud of our safety record. Is it perfect? No, there is no such thing in motorsports. Yeah. But I feel very confident in saying that we have the best safety record of all motorsports.
Oh, I would say that's for sure. I mean, especially when you figure how many people get entertained every year with monster trucks. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And, I mean, it's unfortunate, but I know it's absolutely true. There have, beyond a doubt, been more injuries traveling to and from monster truck events than at a monster truck.
Or even just working on the trucks. I mean, we've had lots of hurt things that way. But so let's get back on to your story now. So you've been very involved with the MTRA, but now tell us how this involvement with you and Mike Vaters again, you know, you used to trade parts and was just friends, and then you guys went together to develop this Evo truck.
Mike and I have been friends for, now 30 years or so, and, it actually does relate to the Monster Truck Racing Association. Being on the board, serving on the board, and having, making suggestions for new safety policies that we needed to implement and all, there were certain individuals that felt that I didn't have skin in the game, and I don't think that that's necessarily, an unreasonable position to take. I think, you have a vested interest in something, you're going to make sure that you're doing things properly, and plus, I don't want to be in a position to be making rules that I don't have to follow, right? Well, so I had this intent of getting back in the sport again, right? But unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess you could say, I have other businesses that keep me very, very busy, and it was very difficult for me to balance what I wanted to do and what I had to do. So, through conversations, Mike and I still always talk all the time, and we said, why don't we do this thing? Mike's got the resources to do it. He's got the connections. So we put our heads together and we decided to build this new team, this new Overkill team. And we were somewhat constrained by the fact that we had commitments through his connections. We had commitments, so we couldn't afford to get too radical right off the bat with the first truck. So we built something that we felt was going to be pretty reliable. We had to throw the little overkill tweaks in there that were going to give us, what we felt were our advantages in certain areas, and that very quickly bore itself out. I mean, the truck was very successful, in large part due to Mikey Vaters. And I've said this before, I've known Mikey since he was 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
And I could never have imagined that he would one day drive for me. But you want to talk about an individual that was literally gifted and born to drive a monster truck.
Very talented.
I tour with him, and he never ceases to amaze me. He does things. He's just such a natural at it. He does things first try. He'll never having done something, but he'll see it, and then he just goes out and do it.
And what's crazy is we all thought he was going to end up in jail because he was an ornery little kid that was always under our feet. And it's like, oh my goodness, Mike, this kid's going to get killed. The tire's going to fall on him or something. Get him out of here.
But he got it all out of his system early, because now he's like the most respectful kid. I mean, he's just so intelligent, such a good driver. You could not ask for a better person to represent you. I mean, literally, he's like my son. I mean, he's my friend and like my son. I mean, he's just, I think the world of him.
And a funny story, we were in Mansfield, Ohio when he was just a little kid, and I kept hearing, I was working on the truck, middle of the afternoon, and I kept hearing this, "Hey, Dad, watch this." And I'm looking around going, who's hollering for Dad? None of us had kids. Well, then I look over and here's Mikey on top of the roof of this announcer's building, and it's up, he's probably 30, 40 foot up. And there was an inflatable Napa, inflatable oil can or something over there. And as soon as Mike looked at him, he runs off this roof and dives and like boom into this thing and rides it to the ground, And we're all like, holy cow, he's going to kill himself.
We still have moments like that today. We'll do some things every once in a while. We're like, whoa, what are you doing? He does it like no problem.
But, the kid's so great. We all love him. I'm proud of him. It's like, it's neat. So, I mean, you guys are getting ready for another year here. You got the truck all tore apart. You're doing a bunch of new stuff to it.
Yeah, we've got it all stripped down, putting new axles, new knuckles, and new champagnes, a lot of new technology. All this stuff is kind of a precursor. We've already got plans, design started for a new truck that will be coming in the near future. Some of the ideas we wanted to kind of test out a little bit beforehand, so it made sense to test them on something that's already working, and then we can tell whether we're making improvements or going backwards.
All right. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. This has been great visiting with Marty, And hopefully you guys learned some stuff. If you like this, please subscribe, tell your friends, please share these, and tell us what you think. Thanks a lot.